Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Girl on Fire, has been released upon the world, and well, hasn't been met with great response, okay? Like, the critics, it is up. It's up from the 0% that we touched on the last time when the initial round of reviews dropped, but it's a nice 8%. People, well, at least the critics speaking, okay? Not exactly the biggest fans of it, but the audience, it's fine, I guess, okay? I've heard a bunch of different reviews of it, and oh boy, it sounds about as bad as every aspect of the worst inclinations of Zack Snyder that you could expect. This is Zack Snyder, 100% unhinged. It's his true vision until you realize that no, guys, okay? The fact that it looks like garbage, the fact that it's written like at least a patchwork quilt, a Frankenstein's monster of other better movies and other better concepts. No, okay? It's once again, man, it's the studio holding Zack Snyder back. If somebody would just give the man a camera and a box of crayons for him to write a script, we would have something great. Every single time, for as far back as I can remember, this dork, in order to put out something even palatable to the public, has to have a longer, darker, edgier take on his original piece of garbage. Holy crap, I already said what I had to say about that boring dregs of The Watchmen, okay? The meme movie that was 300, okay? I've never thought that Zack Snyder was all that talented, and now I can provide the receipts to show you just how bad this guy actually is. But if I'm going to go ahead and run an attack on this hack like this, I know that I'm going to be running against one of the most insufferable fan bases that are out there, okay? Right up there with Hunger Games fans and Swifties. The Zack Snyder stans are some of the most low IQ, helmet bedecked, taste-swilling intelligentsia that you're likely to see out there. But he makes the edgy movies and he has people scream and cry all the time. That means that it's dark and deep and meaningful. Up. He's just trying to cram in his quote-unquote homages to much better films, not understanding what made those films great, but just going, hey guys, I really like Seven Samurai, so you know what I'm going to do with my my Justice League? Put a bunch of samurai armor up. That'll make it a good reference. See, they're assembling a team, just like the Magnificent Seven. I made a great movie. Yo man, nobody would know if you made a good movie, okay? Because your idea of making an artistic stamp on the industry is running back with not quite 4.3. Or 4x3 rather. It was so painfully obvious that you shot it in letterbox because there's 25% extra headroom above every other character. Everything's framed terribly. At least you can see that, unlike Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon, where everything is made with that stupid broken lens that you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on. Zack Snyder is what happened if a studio got behind some of the most edgiest edgelords on DeviantArt, gave him a folding chair and just said, okay, go to town. He's not a director, he's a idea. Ugh. Rebel Moon fans issue same complaint to greedy Netflix about new Zack Snyder movie. Greedy Netflix. Okay, are they charging you for this crap? I didn't think so. Netflix subscribers are making similar complaints about new film Rebel Moon, which is currently the streaming service's most watched title. Exit had a lot of press behind it, and trust me, Netflix needs to recoup those costs because for whatever reason, they gave this dumpster fire of a director hundreds of millions of dollars to produce something that was turned down by your failing competition. Like, what are we doing? The new fantasy, film is the latest release from a writer-director, Zack Snyder. Keep that in your back pocket for a moment. Writer and director. 300. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Yeah, the first one was crap, but guys, it was salvaged with the director's cut. Snyder's vision. And it has shunted. Aardman, a sequel. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Yo, man, they made a Chicken Run follow-up, like the Mel Gibson Chicken Run from like the late 90s. What? And Thriller, Leave the World Behind, down the charts. Oh, that's the racist Obama movie. Okay, cool. Snyder's epic is the first chapter, yes, of a two-part franchise, which will conclude in a two-part franchise. I know that you have a goofy prequel comic that is being written by one of the biggest hacks in all of comics. I guess, crash compactors of a feather. Let's get to the complaints, right? Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. Oh, I thought it was A Child on Fire. harkening back to, a much better film, was added on Netflix on Thursday and has received a deluge of negative reviews from critics and a bunch of people online going, I can't see it. Why do they got a cantina scene ripped directly from Star Wars? Why does that guy's beard look so obviously fake? While other critics appeared to concur with this judgment, leaving the film with a paltry 23% on the review aggregate site Rotten Tomatoes. Subscribers who have been watching the film seem to disagree. At time of writing, Rebel Moon has an audience score of 69%. It's perhaps unsurprising that the film is going down better with viewers than critics, exactly because Zack's cult of personality, man, it's crazy. It is actually crazy. You have to be crazy in order to enjoy these films. Is a director with a solid fan base. Yep, and said fan base has come out in full support to support his new film on social media. However, even the most fervent Snyder fans appears to believe that there is one issue with the film, that it needs to be longer. Oh my God! You barely had a script to begin with, and you unironically had slow motion. No, I didn't stutter. No, I didn't stammer. He already had a slow motion scene of somebody mounting a goddamn hippogriff from Harry Potter, and then to add insult to injury, slowed it down even further. Oh my God. So yeah, you need more of those shots. Oh, just like the Snyder Cut. Oh my God, it's a totally different vision. Okay, it totally jettisons all of those terrible things that Joss Whedon did. Oh, he butchered the Justice League, even though you ended up having like 85% of that film that was in there, and the additional important scenes that Zack Snyder added were simple establishing shots. We're showing somebody walk up every goddamn step of that goddamn bank, and then had some blood on the wall, and Superman ended up wearing his black suit. It's hilarious. I wonder what the staying power on Netflix is going to be. I think Netflix is holding back a longer, and from what I hear, better edit really backfired. No. Okay, there's some truth to that, except for the fact that it would be better. But no. There is a Snyder Cut of something that was released on a streaming service because Netflix asked Snyder to produce a PG-13 version of his film. And he's got something like a 3-hour cut, and then he's going to do the same thing for part 2, and oh my God, nobody's going to care at that point in time. But yeah, Netflix is just once again trying to resuscitate that whole trend, because I won't play this down for as much as I'll play down his talent. There was a lot of hype behind the whole, release the Snyder Cut thing with the Justice League, and it's just about done. And in 2020, when studios were starved for content, which we're likely to see here in 2024, they gave him a little bit more money, gave him access to Amber Heard to come back and do all of those post-credit goofy ass nightmare scene where you had Jared Leto's Joker make a reach around joke for Batman. Well, joke in big quotation marks. You know why that looked so terrible? Okay, because that was the first use of that stupid camera lens Zack Snyder used to film Army of the Dead, which so funny. It's so funny for having such an ardent fan base, which Snyder does have. Wasn't quite the same. It wasn't quite the same for Army of the Dead. It's almost like you have DC fans that are supercharged, okay? Or rather, Snyder fans that are supercharged by DC, because a lot of people, for justifiably good reasons, like the characters of Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, okay, like they have their pre-established fan base, and then you can go ahead and inject a bit of edge by throwing in the Snyder fans, and okay, they become a rabid fan base that don't you touch the Snyderverse. We need to restore the Snyderverse, because that was working out so well financially. But then they all just kind of seemed to miss all of that criticism around Army of the Dead. But now they're coming around because, well, now they can go ahead and they can also take shots at Star Wars. And I find this specifically stupid. Rebel Moon writer Kurt Johnstadt, writer? No, I thought this was supposed to be Snyder's vision. Okay, brushes off Star Wars comparisons. Well, brother. It's a script that Lucasfilm, the only other studio that's putting out worse crap than Zack Snyder himself, Lucasfilm, Disney, didn't even like this script. They told him to, hit the bricks. We have enough, super-powered Mary Sues. We don't need another one. Long time ago, Zack Snyder might have joined a galaxy far, far away. As the director embarked on his tumultuous journey with DC, another possible landmark saga was calling his name. And while it never came to fruition, his idea for a Star Wars movie eventually became his upcoming Rebel Moon, an original, multi-part sci-fi epic. It's 2 parts. What do we do? Multi-part? That's technically true, but is it literally true? Whatever. If it's evolved in the intervening years since Snyder first pitched it to Lucasfilm while in post-production on Man of Steel. See, right there, in black and white. The initial idea remains the same. It was 7 samurai in space, he told Empire. In our world exclusive, a Rebel Moon cover story, and a Star Wars movie was my original concept for it. Yeah, exactly. So, brushes off the comparisons to Star Wars. It was supposed to be a Star Wars film. In a little over a week since the audiences first saw Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, Zack with an H instead of a K, that's strange. They're not even paying him appropriate respect. Unbelievable. Originally pitched as an entry into the Star Wars canon, Rebel Moon isn't technically attached to any franchise, even if the influences are easy to spot. In her D-, been D+ just for the memes, a review of the AV Club. For the AV Club, for example, Lauren Coates writes that Snyder took heavy aesthetic and stylistic notes from genre classics like Star Wars, Dune, Ice Pirates, Battle for the Stars, and 7 Samurai, without understanding the story and emotional beats that made those aforementioned franchises so beloved. No. Zack Snyder's an auteur. You just simply didn't get it. You're not smart enough or have the requisite amount of brain damage. But I want to see what the critics are saying. Okay, I'm going to see what the critiques are of this dumpster fire, if we're going to be honest. Games Radar, 3 out of 5. BBC, 3 out of 5. There's something strangely endearing about Rebel Moon, and its honest-to-be-goodness, unashamedly stupid and derivative pulp tosh. It is so blatantly a work of gushing fan fiction that it makes you want to go back to a time in 1977 and shake a young Zack Snyder by the hand. He couldn't have imagined that somebody, I'm swirling an imaginary brandy snifter, somebody would one day give him hundreds of millions of dollars to transfer scribbles in his notebook to a silver screen, and yet it was eventually what happened. It's heartwarming. The film might not be up to much, but the story behind it proves that even the most far-fetched childhood dreams really can come true. That sounds a hell of a lot more deriding than a 3 out of 5, but whatever. The Guardian, 1 out of 5. The director's attempt to replicate Star Wars for smartphones is an ugly, unforgivably dull, and self-serious mess. IndieWire, D-, IGN, 4. It's not great. It harkens back to ugly, and the writing itself just being absolutely atrocious, grabbing better, more comprehensive themes and plot lines for far more competent films. But check out part 2, Scargiver, that's going to be coming out in April. I can't wait. Ugh. But I want to look at the credits. I want to look at the credits of this, okay? Because there is a lot of people that'll be out there, okay? They will go ahead and they will dismiss the deluge of garbage that Zack Snyder has put out to just say that, actually, you know what, I kind of like Zack Snyder's film, okay? Yeah, I liked 300. I liked Watchmen, okay? I liked some of the DC stuff, you know. It looks spectacular, okay? Even if Zack Snyder's not the best writer, he makes really visually enticing films. I'm about to skewer that shit to hell and back. So here we have the full cast and crew, right? The full cast and crew of A Child of Fire, okay? Rebel Moon Part 1. Zack Snyder directed it. Zack Snyder's on the writing credit. He wrote the screenplay, okay? Kurt Johnstad, who's like, no, it's not Star Wars, even though it was Star Wars right from the beginning. Shay Hatton, and then the story was done by Zack Snyder. So he did the screenplay, he did the story. Nobody gets credit for the characters because nobody talks about the credits, the characters rather, even from the reviews that I watched on this stuff. And I actually did. I checked out Jeremy John's review. And he was rather positive about the film, okay? But here's the thing, man. Like, he was talking about the lead character, the characters that they assembled. Nobody can remember anybody in this film, which should tell you something, okay? If you don't have a plot that works, you sure as hell hope that you got some memorable characters. This thing right here has neither. But, some people are saying it's visually stunning, so you can go ahead and you can chalk that up to how many people worked on this dog shit. Wow, man. Oh my God. I'm still scrolling. Okay, here you have. So you got all the producers. Okay, his goofy wife, yeah, and Deborah Snyder is right there as well. But the cinematography done by Zack Snyder. He's the DP. Okay, not like that. He is the director of photography. He is responsible for all of the shots that are taken in that film. So he is fully in control. This is Zack Snyder's vision. For as many of those Snyderites will go ahead and protest otherwise. Okay, can it be said about the 3 other films that everybody cites is, you know what, Zack Snyder might not be that great, but you know what, I liked Dawn of the Dead, okay, the remake of Dawn of the Dead, okay, 2004 remake, Zack Snyder, he directed it, okay, everybody wants to go ahead and give him credit for that until you take a look at the writing credits, and obviously, yes, it's an adaptation, it's a remake of the George A. Romero classic, so yeah, he's going to be getting flowers for that, but James Gunn wrote the screenplay for that. Okay, James Gunn, who unironically ended up taking your job. Oh, hilarious. So, maybe in the most literal of sense, it was, in fact, Snyder's vision. You can go ahead and chalk up the cinematography work to, Matthew F. Leonid. Okay, so Zack Snyder was just simply the director. He was the guy that was yelling cut. He was the guy who was being reined in by other people. Okay, cool. No, but that's just a remake. Okay, what about a full-on adaptation? Everybody says that they love the shots in 300. It is visually remarkable. Everybody remembers the certain timeless set pieces like this is Sparta, and then the front kick to one of the heralds of Xerxes into the bottomless pit. The big wall of skulls, like, ended up reprising its role in the Man of Steel. No, sorry, that was a pit of skulls that Superman descends into. Oh my God, Superman, the quintessential hero of hope. Anyways, he's edgy personified. Okay, so Zack Snyder, yes, of course, the director. And he had a hand in the screenplay alongside Kurt Johnstad and Michael B. Gordon. And then, of course, yes, it was an adaptation of the great Frank Miller's graphic novel. And then, of course, you know, it harkens back to the Hot Gates, okay? The Persian Empire, The Last Stand of Thermopylae, okay? Like, it's a historical dramatization written by one of the best who ever do it in Frank Miller. And then Zack Snyder had help bringing it to the screen. But he did get credit for the screenplay. Okay, I'll go ahead and give him that. Okay, that's fair. But as you can probably guess here for a second, for all of those visually stunning things that Zack Snyder gets credit for, you should probably thank Larry Fong, because he was the DP on that one. He was the one who was blocking, setting, and constructing those shots that Zack Snyder gets all the credit for. Oh no, we couldn't be going for a three-peat on this one, could we? Watchmen, the one that I hate with a burning passion, this boring piece of shit. And here's the thing, I can no longer just blame Zack Snyder for this, because he was just, once again, guess what, guys? Simply the director. I'll go ahead and provide you receipts on that one. Dave Gibbons, based on the graphic novel co-created by, yes, Dave Gibbons. And of course, because Alan Moore just hates adaptations in general, he's the guy who's behind Watchmen, okay? He's famous for not liking any adaptations at all whatsoever, but who cares what a commie has to say? David Hayter doing the screenplay, and then Alex C., of course, doing the screenplay. Then, of course, just to show you that I'm not lying, Larry Fong, director of photography. So even if you think Watchmen looks good, the 300 looks good, okay, just because there's a couple of misses on Zack Snyder's resume doesn't mean that he's a total hack. No. Here's the thing. Everything that everybody wants to give him credit for, he didn't actually do. What we've been seeing recently, all of those flops, like this dude, he's had more flops than the Body Positivity a Diving Challenge in recent years, and you can go ahead and fully chalk those right on up to Zack Snyder. He had access to some of the most, and in two cases, the most famous superhero IPs in the world, and he did nothing with them. He didn't make $1 billion in any of those films. He was a consultant on Wonder Woman. He was a consultant on Aquaman, because he was the one to bring those characters into the fold. The moment that he's removed from a project, it immediately becomes more profitable. The more creative license you take away from him, the better chance that the project ends up becoming successful. Zack Snyder is a talentless hack that is only good at blowing money like a 23-year-old sugar baby milking an 80-year-old billionaire. If companies enemies are stupid enough to give him leeway, you deserve the disaster that he serves up for you. With all that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.